I'm sorry. My ex-boyfriend came back for me and we're not getting a marriage certificate today. After the call dropped, I became the joke of the entire Civil Affairs Bureau. The lady at the registration desk couldn't stand it any longer and pointed at a nearby girl who looked equally lost and dejected. Look, her fiancé ran off with a rich woman. You two are both down and out in the same boat. Perfect for a matching pair. The girl looked at me for 10 seconds, then suddenly stood up and walked over to me. Shall we register the marriage? I brought the household registration book. I nodded. Yes. 10 minutes later, I had a wife. 1. The cold glass of the Civil Affairs Bureau gate reflected my numb face. The red marriage certificate in my hand was like a red-hot branding iron. The woman beside me, Swan, is my newlywed wife. An hour ago, we were strangers who had not known each other. The air solidified into chunks, awkward enough to cut shapes. People came and went around me, their whispers like countless fine needles pricking into my skin. I could feel those gazes, sympathetic, mocking, crowd-seeking. Second time. Xiao Qing for the second time at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau turned me into a complete fool. With one phone call, a certain part of my heart had emptied out. I couldn't even feel the pain anymore. Let's go eat first. When I spoke, my voice was dry as sandpaper rubbing. Swan, lifted her head. Those eyes were very clean, but at this moment they were also veiled in a layer of dust and ruin. She gave a soft HM. We walked into the nearest restaurant, sat opposite each other, and the silence stood like a wall. The waitress's menu shattered the stillness. I just ordered 2 dishes randomly. My name is Lin Chen. I introduced myself again as if this could make all this absurdity feel a little more real. Swan, she whispered. The dishes were served, but no one touched their chopsticks. My fiancé, we've been together for 5 years. Swan spoke first, her gaze resting on the teacup in front of her. He picked a woman who would let him save 20 years of effort. Her tone was even without tears, without hysteria, simply stating a fact. That calmness, more choking than a wail, made one's chest tighten. I understand this feeling. There is nothing more heartbreaking than a broken spirit. My girlfriend Xiaoqing. I continued her sentence. This is the second time she has regretted on the day we registered the marriage. And every time it's because of her ex-boyfriend. After I finished speaking, I even found myself ridiculous, tugged at the corners of my mouth. But I couldn't smile. One person for money, one for old feelings. The two of us today in the Civil Affairs Bureau were the 2 most dazzling landscape lines. What's your plan after this? I asked her. She shook her head, her eyes full of confusion. I don't know. The house is his. I have nowhere to go. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. I almost blurted it out. After speaking, we both froze. The atmosphere became awkward again. My point is, I hurried to explain, feeling my cheeks flush. We can for now. Corinth. The word left my mouth paired with the red booklets in our hands. And it was irony to the extreme. Let's just regard it as a buffer period for both of us. I added, don't worry, I won't. I'll sleep in the 2nd bedroom. Swan looked at me and a trace of light seemed to appear in her clear eyes. She fell silent for a long time, long enough for me to think she would refuse. Okay, she finally said, a meal eaten without tasting the flavors. I brought her back to my house. The loan isn't fully paid yet. But this place is my only route in this city. The house isn't big, but I've kept it very clean. She stood in the center of the living room, looking around. The tense line in her shoulders seemed to loosen a little. You'll stay in the master bedroom with a balcony. Good light. I pushed her suitcase inside. Thank you. She spoke softly. Between us, besides saying thank you, it seemed there was nothing more to say. It's late at night. I lay on the cold bed in the secondary bedroom, staring at the ceiling with my eyes open. Everything felt like an absurd dream. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from Xiaoqing. Don't be angry. Wait for me to deal with things here and I'll come back to find you. You have to wait for me. That tone naturally and self-evidently carried a condescending grace. She didn't even feel the need to explain. What does she take me for? A garbage dump that will forever stand still, waiting for her to call and dismiss at will. A wave of unstoppable nausea welled up from my stomach. I fixed my gaze on that line of text, my finger hovering above the screen. Countless past arguments and reconciliations flashed through my mind. Those humble concessions, those self-deceiving excuses now look like loud slaps on the face. I did not reply. I simply quietly deleted her contact information one by one. We chat, phone, everything. After finishing all this, I felt as if a huge stone in my chest had cracked open a gap. 2. The next day, I was awakened by the scent of food. I walked out of the second bedroom and saw Swan wearing my oversized t-shirt, busy in the kitchen. The morning light spilled onto her body through the window, a kind of unreal beauty. 2 delicate breakfasts were laid out on the table: millet porridge and fried eggs, golden yolks, green onions, steaming hot. "You're awake." She turned and smiled at me. "I wasn't sure of your taste, so I just made something simple. I have long relied on takeout, and breakfast is usually a steamed bun I grab on the way. Such a breakfast full of the hustle and bustle of life is already a luxury for me." "Thank you," I say, sitting down. The porridge is fragrant and glutinous. I took a sip and a warm current spread from my stomach to my limbs and bones. That chilling feeling of being abandoned by the whole world yesterday seemed to be driven away somewhat by this bowl of porridge. "You're really good at cooking." I sincerely marveled. "I used to cook a lot," she said simply. I can imagine that the before was for someone else. We all tacitly agreed not to mention yesterday again. After dinner, I'm getting ready to go to work. This is a spare key. I set a bunch of keys on the cabinet in the foyer. "Don't worry about staying here peacefully. And don't rush with work. Take your time." She nodded and took the key. "Okay." While I was changing my shoes, she suddenly said, "I am temporarily unemployed and I might be late in paying you the rent." "Don't." I interrupted her. "Just consider it as a roommate's moving gene benefit." I shut the door and could still feel her gaze lingering behind me. When I got to the office, the atmosphere felt a bit eerie. A few colleagues gathered together and upon seeing me immediately dispersed, but the expression on their faces wanting to laugh yet not daring to trade them. My childhood friend and colleague Zhao Yi pulled me aside. "Senior brother Chen, are you all right?" he asked cautiously. "I'm fine," I said calmly. "Xiao Qing is too much. This is the second time already. How could she do this?" Zhao Yi looked indignant. "It's all in the past." My calm surprised him a little. "No, you're just going to give up like that. People from the Civil Affairs Bureau were spreading it yesterday, saying a guy got stood up twice in a row." My fists quietly clenched at my sides. Yeah. I had become a joke that everyone knows. "I got married," I said. Zhao Yi's jaw nearly dropped to the floor. "What? To whom? You aren't crazy from anger, are you?" "To a girl who was also stood up by someone." I didn't say much more. Turning back to my own station, all day long, I felt countless gazes studying me from behind. I bury my head in work, pushing all emotions deep inside. In the evening, I dragged my exhausted body back home. The moment I opened the door, I froze. There is a warm orange light on in the house. The aroma of meals wafted through the air. Swan walked out of the kitchen wearing an apron, still holding a spatula. "Are you back? We can eat soon." I looked at her again, and at this home that had been tidied up, orderly, and filled with the breath of life, a hard corner in my heart suddenly softened. The dinner was hearty. She used only a few ingredients left in my refrigerator to make 3 dishes and a soup. "Did you empty out my fridge?" I joked. She laughed, her eyes crinkling. "Your fridge stock is simply too low." For the first time, we sat together like a real family, chatting away, talk about work, talk about movies, talk about some trivial matters that don't matter. The atmosphere is very relaxed. After meals, I volunteered to wash the dishes. She dried them on the side. "I used to work in financial analysis," she said dryly. I was a little surprised. "Looks like you have some stock software on your computer," she said, pointing to the study. "If you don't mind, I can help you take a look." I certainly don't mind. I'm even a little looking forward to it. I took out the computer. She sat over, her fingers tapping on the keyboard. Her focused look was completely different from when she was busy in the kitchen. It was a calm, professional aura, with a certain sense of control. I began to feel that my shotgun wedding wife was not simple at all. 3. The peaceful life only lasted for 2 days. In the midday of the third day, Xiaoking's call came in. It was a stranger's number. I didn't intend to answer, but it kept ringing stubbornly again and again. Linchin. As soon as the call connected, Xiaoking's sharp voice. What do you mean? Did you block me? Her tone was filled with questioning and incomprehensibility. We've broken up. My voice was calm. Break up. Do you agree? I told you to wait for me. She seemed to hear a huge joke. How dare you block me? This air of self-righteous selfishness struck me as ridiculous. Xiaoqing. I am married. I've decided to end it with her. There was silence on the other end of the line. A few seconds later, a sharper roar than before. You are talking nonsense. Are you trying to anger me on purpose? Linchin, you've grown capable. Ha! To force me to come back. You even made up such lies. I didn't lie to you. Fine. That's very good. She yelled in a fit of anger. You just wait. The call was slammed down. I fidgeted with my phone. A strange unease gnawing at me. I thought deleting the contact would be the end. But obviously, for someone like Xiaoqing, as long as she hasn't said it's over, it's never finished. I didn't tell Swan about this matter. This is my past, and I don't want to drag her into it. Yet trouble always comes uninvited. In the evening, just as I walked to the entrance of the neighborhood, I saw a familiar figure, Xiaoqing, dressed in brand-name clothes and wearing exquisite makeup, stood at the doorway of my building with an air of haughtiness. She saw me, too, and immediately rushed over in high heels. Linchin, you really dare to lie to me? Where is the woman you found? She folded her arms across her chest like a cockiness rooster about to crow. This is my business. None of your concern. I frowned, trying to bypass her. She grabbed my arm with one hand, her nails almost sinking into my flesh. It doesn't matter. I tell you, as long as I haven't nodded, you will never be able to shake me off in this lifetime. You are the dog I can summon and dismiss at will. Her words were venomous and cruel, and neighbors around already peeked in, eager to see the show. My expression completely fell just as I was about to forcibly break free from her. The door to the apartment building opened. Swan walked out carrying a bag of trash. She was wearing simple white home clothes, her hair loosely tied up and devoid of makeup. Yet she looked 100 times more comfortable than Xiaoqing, who was heavily made up. She saw us, and her steps faltered for a moment. Xiaoqing's gaze was like two X-rays sweeping Swan from head to toe. That gaze was full of disdain and contempt. Yo, is this the substitute you were looking for? Xiaoqing spoke in a sly, taunting tone. Linchin, when did your eyes become so bad? You actually look at this kind of trash. Her words were like a basin of dirty water, splashing straight at Swan. I was furious and about to speak. Swan acted before me. She tossed the trash bag in her hand into the nearby trash can, then slowly approached us. She looked at Xiaoqing, her gaze as calm as a deep pool with no ripple of emotion at all. A substitute already Mrs. Lin by law. Her voice wasn't loud, but every word was extraordinarily clear. May I ask what advice you have for this ex-girlfriend of yours? The pride and arrogance on Xiaoqing's face instantly froze. She hadn't expected that this seemingly gentle woman would speak so aggressively. She opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a word for a long time, and the exquisitely made-up face flushed delivered in color. I stood to the side, watching Swan's slender yet straight silhouette. This was the first time someone stood in front of me like this, blocking those unbearable criticisms from me. My heart beat hard. For you. Xiaoqing finally found her voice, trembling with anger. What are you anyway? Do you know how much Lin Qin loves me? How many times did he ask me to marry him? You are merely a tool he uses to provoke me. She began to speak without a filter, trying to stab us with the past. Swan didn't even look at her. Her gaze turned to me with a questioning look. At that moment, I reacted. I stepped forward, standing firmly in front of Swan, fully shielding her behind me. I looked straight into Xiaoqing's face, twisted with anger. We are already done with each other. I spoke each word with utmost clarity. Please never disturb my wife again in the future. The two characters for wife came from my mouth, and I myself felt a bit dazed. But behind me, Swan seemed to move her body slightly, My hand, at some unspecified moment, has tightly gripped her wrist. Her hand is very cold yet soft. Lin Chen Shaoqing completely collapsed, rushing at me like a crazy person to punch me. You liar, you bastard. Didn't you say you would love only me in this life? Everything you said was a lie. Her squirming and rolling around at this moment looked incredibly ugly and ridiculous. I didn't waste any more words, grabbed her hand, and half pushed and half dragged her out of the apartment building. Security. I called out to the security booth at the entrance. Zio Qing's curses were cut off by the closed door. The whole world fell quiet. I turned around and looked at Swan. Sorry, I murmured. I dragged you into this too. Swan, you just performed well. She struggled free from my grasp and turned to head toward the elevator. The warmth of her still lingers on my palm. That night, the atmosphere between us changed subtly. Not just roommates anymore. There is something indescribable and unclear. Added. In the evening, Swan sat in front of the computer as usual. The stocks you bought before. You can sell them after the market opens tomorrow. She said without looking back. Why aren't they looking pretty good? I'm a bit puzzled. The short-term rally has peaked. Greed will cost money. Her tone was indisputable. Although I was puzzled, I still chose to trust her. After all, that professional confidence she exuded was very convincing. The next day, I looked at the stock market during a break at work. The few stocks I dumped briefly spiked after the open, then started a relentless tumble all the way down. My heart leapt with fear at its green color. If I act half an hour later, I'm afraid I'll be stuck. A cold sweat is seeping from my back. This is no longer something that a little financial analysis can explain. This is a precise prediction. Who exactly is my impulsive marrying wife? This idea, like a seed, is taking root and growing crazily in my heart. I began to realize that what I picked up casually might not be a gentle little white rabbit, but rather a beast I completely cannot see through, wearing a rabbit's skin. 5. The news of my shotgun marriage eventually reached my parents. A phone call came in and my mom's roar almost shattered my eardrums. Lin Chen, are you crazy? You wouldn't discuss something this big with us. Just marry any woman. Do you think we don't matter? Then comes my dad's somber voice. This weekend, take her home. An irresistible command tone. I hung up and my head was splitting with pain. I knew this moment would come sooner or later, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. I told Swan about what happened. She was surprisingly calm. It is only proper to go visit uncle and aunt. Her calmness, on the contrary, made me more uneasy. Over the weekend, I returned home with Swan and a carefully chosen gift. As soon as I walked in, I felt the heavy atmosphere. My mom sits on the sofa with a stern expression while my dad keeps smoking nearby. Dad, Mom, this is Swan. I gritted my teeth and introduced her. Hello, uncle and aunt. Swan greeted with a smile, neither servile nor overbearing. My mom snorts a muffled HM from her nose and her eyes like a scanner scan Swan from head to toe. Where are you from? What does your family do? Where are you studying working now? A series of questions like interrogating a prisoner. Auntie, I'm a local. My parents run a small business. I don't have a job for the time being. Swan answered gracefully. As soon as I heard, no job, my mom's expression turned even uglier. No job. Then you're a derelict. Her voice rose 8 notes. Lin Chen, look at the person you found. With no job, he must be after your house. Mom, I couldn't help interrupt her. Swan isn't that kind of person. You don't know what you're talking about. You've been bewitched by a fox spirit. My mom slammed the table and stood up. The atmosphere at the dinner table was extremely oppressive. My mom hardly gave Swan a good look, constantly pointing fingers and scolding her, questioning her about the past, hinting in every sentence that she was a gold digger who coveted our family's wealth. Swan had been smiling all along, calmly handling it, but I could see the loneliness flickering in the lowered eyes of her. My heart felt painful as if something were tugging at it. What was worse, my mom's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and right in front of us. Answered it. Hello, Xiao Qin. Yes. Lynch brought that girl back. Not much to look at. Hasn't got a job. Yes, yes, yes. It's you. We know you well. I don't know where Zhaoqing got my mom's phone number from. I don't know what all she said. But after Mom hung up, her gaze at Su Wan had shifted from scrutiny to complete disgust. I'm telling you, Lin Chen, I don't agree with this marriage. You go and divorce her right now. No way. I stood up, the blood rushing to my head. This is my own business. Your wings have grown strong. Are you arguing with me over a woman of unknown origin? She isn't a woman of unknown origin. She is my wife. My mom and I had the fiercest argument since we got married. Finally, I pulled Swan along and slammed the door. On the way home, the atmosphere in the car was deathly quiet. I could sense Swan's mood was very down. Sorry. I said this to her for the third time. She shook her head and watched the nightscape rushing by outside the window. If it has caused you so much trouble, she whispered softly, her voice tired. We can. I chose it. I'll take responsibility. I suddenly cut her off, pulled the car over to the roadside, and turned to look at her. The streetlight's glow streamed through the car window, illuminating her pale profile. I could see a bit of moisture at the corner of her eye. In that moment, there was only one thought in my mind. I can't let her go. 6. Back home. Swan locked herself in her room and didn't come out for a long time. I know she is in a bad mood, but I didn't bother her. The pressure of family is like a mountain, weighing heavily on my heart. In the next few days, the company ran into huge trouble with a new project. The partner is a powerful investment company, and the representative they sent is extremely demanding, tearing our plan apart completely. Everyone in the department wore a worried look, working overtime for several days in a row, revising more than 10 drafts, all of which were rejected. As a core member of the project team, I feel the most pressure. That night, I brought back a thick stack of documents and planned to pull an all-nighter. I sat in the study facing the computer, with no idea where to start. Swan brought in a cup of hot milk. She glanced at the dense data and charts on my screen. Your plan is heading in the wrong direction, she suddenly said. I was taken aback for a moment and looked up. The partner is looking for stability with long-term returns. But you've been emphasizing short-term high profits all along, and you completely haven't grasped their point. She just glanced over it casually. She hit the nail on the head and got to the core of the problem. And moreover, there's a flaw in your data model here. She pointed at a chart on the screen. The risk assessment is far too optimistic. The opposing professional team will be able to see it at a glance. I stared at her in shock and couldn't speak for a long time. The whole team of dozens of people stayed up for several all-nighters and still didn't figure it out. Then you think, what should we do? I blurted out by instinct. She didn't answer directly, but picked up a scrap of paper and began to write and draw quickly on it. A brand new planned framework appeared on the paper after a few minutes. That was an incredibly creative solution I never thought of. Bold yet logically rigorous. I looked at that piece of paper, then looked at her again. My heart was in turmoil. That night, following her approach, I almost overthrew all the previous work and redid a new plan. The more I did, the more alarmed I became. The more I did, the more I admired her. The next day, with an uneasy heart, I submitted the new plan. In the conference room, the atmosphere was as tense as ever. The representative of the partner, known for his sharp tongue with the surname Li, was a woman in her 30s. Her expression grave. She opened the plan and read through it page by page. Time passed second by second. My heart leaped to my throat. Suddenly she looked up, and for the first time in days there was a non-sneering expression on her face. Who prepared this proposal? She asked. My supervisor immediately pushed me forward. Representatively looked at me with a gaze of scrutiny and admiration. The idea is very novel and the entry point is very precise. She unexpectedly gave a very high evaluation. This is what we want. Everyone in the conference room let out a sigh of relief. The project just like that was set to celebrate. The company arranged a celebratory banquet that evening. My superior kept patting my shoulder at the banquet, saying I was a hero of the company. I knew in my heart that the real hero is Swan at home. Halfway through the banquet, the door to the private room suddenly opened. Powerful, imposing middle-aged man walked in. It's our company's boss who is personally accompanying us. Let me introduce everyone. This is Mr. Chun, the chairman of our partner Hong Yuan Group. All of us stood up, bowing respectfully. Mr. Chun is a legendary figure in the business world. He smiled and nodded at us, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. When he saw me, his steps paused briefly. No, not looking at me. It was looking at someone beside me. No, there's no one around me. So, what is he looking at? After the banquet ended, the boss specially asked me to stay and share a cup of tea with Chen Dong. I was flattered and overwhelmed and could only sit down stiffly. While we were chatting, my phone rang. It was Swan calling. When will you be back? I left some soup for you. Her voice was gentle, coming through the earpiece. Director Chen's movement suddenly paused. He stared at my phone with a slight frown. Sorry about this. My wife. I apologized with a smile at Director Chen. Then I lowered my voice and said to Swan, I'm with a client. Might be a bit late. Well, then you should drink less alcohol. The call ended. Mr. Chien looked at me and suddenly asked, What is your wife's name? Although I found it strange, I answered honestly, Her name is Swan. Which one is it? Night is late at night. Pat sound. The purple clay teacup in Mr. Chen's hand fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. He stared at me fiercely, his eyes filled with shock, excitement, and unbelievable panic. Where is she? His voice trembling. I was completely perplexed. Half an hour later, I returned to my home with money. Dong. I used the key to open the door. Swan was wearing an apron, serving soup in the kitchen. She heard the door open and turned around. When she saw Chi Dong behind me, the smile on her face disappeared in an instant. What takes its place is a complex emotion. There is helplessness, blame, and a little bit of grievance. And the money chairman who once swept through the business world with authority. When he saw Swan, his eyes reened, his voice choked, and he bowed with utmost reverence. Missy, why are you suffering here? 7. I feel like my brain has frozen into a dead computer, completely shut down. Missy, suffering. I look at the woman in front of me who is wearing an apron and making soup for me. Then I look at the chairman of the group who is almost on the verge of tears. The whole world has become magical and unreal. Swan sighed and took off the apron. Uncle Chin, why have you come? Her tone was calm yet carried an undeniable air of superiority. Mississippi, it's me. Director Chin stepped forward excitedly. But being with you during this time has made me feel at ease. She looked at me with a sincere gaze. You are kind, practical, and responsible. You will be angry because my mother treats you badly. And you will not hesitate to defend me in front of Shaoqing. Our beginning was absurd, like a farce, but now I want to take this marriage seriously. She walked up to me and tilted her head slightly back. Lynchchin, are you willing? Give me a chance and give yourself a chance. 2. I looked into her eyes. There was no longer the previous weariness and confusion, replaced by a clear and firm resolve. My heart was beating fast. Insecurity, unease, shock, and anger at being deceived, a mix of various emotions intertwined. But in the end, what overwhelmed everything was her words. I feel at ease, and there was her sincerity, untainted by any impurities. As she looked at me, I fell silent for a long time. Then I stood up, reached out, and gently wiped away the tears at the corner of her eye. You cook so well, I said. I seem to can't find a reason to divorce. She paused for a moment, then wiped away her tears and laughed through her tears. 8. Our relationship after that night entered a whole new phase. Once the window paper was punctured, everything became frank. Swan no longer hides her abilities. She has become my exclusive advisor. Whether it's work problems or financial planning, she always provides the most accurate advice. And I too strive to adapt to the fact that my wife is a real big shot. But trouble won't disappear simply because we are honest with each other. Shaoqing calmed down for a while after I drove her away, but she quickly found a new ally. Su Wan's, Zhang Wei, a man who abandoned Swan for money after learning Swan's true identity, was filled with endless remorse. The two of them, one wants to win back his old love, the other wants to latch on to a wealthy family, and they clicked instantly. That day, I had just finished work when Jiangyi blocked me at the company gate. He was driving a flashy Porsche. dressed in branded clothes, posing like a model. Are you Lin Chen? He leaned against the car door, appraising me with a condescending gaze. Got a problem. I don't want to waste words with him. He pulled out a check from his pocket and flashed it in front of me. 1 million. Leave Swan. His tone was contemptuous. I've met plenty of people like you. You're just after the Su family's money. That's all. Here you go. Take the money and get lost. And don't dirty her eyes. Every word of his sentence was filled with humiliation. A surge of anger rushed from my chest to the top of my head. I looked at his face written with pride and foolishness. You think. I spoke coldly. Swan is worth 1 million in your eyes. He froze. I'm telling you, you don't deserve her. I pointed at his nose. You didn't deserve her before. And you don't deserve her now. Even less. Who the hell do you think you are? Daring to lecture me. He was angered by me, waving his fist as he charged forward. I didn't dodge. In the past, I might have chosen to endure, but now Swan stands behind me. I cannot retreat. I sidestep his punch. Then, with a punch, I hit his face hard and solid. Jiangyi let out a scream, clutching his nose as he crouched down. This is the first time in my life that I have hit someone, but I do not regret it. Almost simultaneously, Ziyaqing's attack also began. She in our company's colleagues group chat. Our mutual circle of friends is wildly spreading rumors, saying, Swan is the mistress who intruded into our relationship. Saying, I am a man who abandons true love for money, willing to be a kept man and live off a woman. She has spun the story with a vivid nose and eyes, going to great lengths to smear me. For a moment, I became the focal point of everyone's discussions in the company. Those sympathetic glances turned into contempt and ridicule. I got home and Swan already knew all about it. She sat on the sofa talking on the phone. Her expression was very calm. Even there could be said to be cold. Yes, check the accounts of the company under Jingi's name, especially the tax affairs. I want the most detailed report. Also, a woman named Xiaoqing is spreading false remarks about me online. Contact the legal department and prepare a lawyer's letter. She arranged everything in an orderly manner. That commanding aura of strategic brilliance is a little mesmerizing to me. After hanging up, she saw me and gave me a smile. You back? Does your hand hurt? She picked up my hand, noticed the red marks on my knuckles, and gently blew on them. It doesn't hurt. I shook my head. My husband now, he also knows how to protect me. Her tone carried both teasing and warmth. We looked at each other and smiled. This is the first time we have joined forces publicly. There was no quarrel, no panic. There is only absolute trust and tacit understanding. I know that we are no longer two abandoned failures. We are comrades. 9. So actions were very swift. The next day, evidence of tax evasion by Jingi's company was handed over to the tax authorities in a complete report. On the third day, Ziyaqing received a sternly worded lawyer's letter from the Legal Affairs Department of Hongwen Group. Jingi's company was quickly put under investigation. Its cash flow collapsed and overnight it faced a bankruptcy crisis and Xiaoqing was directly fired by the company she worked for, on the grounds of seriously damaging the company's reputation. The rumors she spread in the face of absolute strength became the most ridiculous buffoonery. Those who used to judge me in the company instantly did a 180 degrees turn in attitude. The former mockery has turned into current flattery and ingratiation. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to these fence-sitters. I just didn't expect that my parse attitude would undergo the same dramatic change. They probably learned Swan's true identity from the news or from remarks by relatives and friends. That weekend, they actually showed up at our door with big and small packages of gifts. My mom, shedding her previous meanness and fussiness, pulled Swan's hand and smiled so hard that the wrinkles on her face piled up. Juan. Auntie was wrong before. Auntie didn't have eyes to see a great man like you. Please don't take it to heart. Okay. She uses Wan with such affection that it gives me goosebumps. Our Lin Chen can marry you. Truly the luck of a lifetime from a previous life. My dad chimed in from the side as well. Exactly. Exactly. When are you going to hold the wedding? You can't mistreat Wan. I looked at their obsequious, courteous expressions, feeling a tangle of emotions in my heart. Swan handled it very gracefully. She didn't put on airs. nor did she rake up old debts. She graciously accepted my parents' apology, took the gifts they brought, and returned an even more valuable health product. Throughout the entire process, she kept a smile on her face, gentle and polite. She gave my parents a way out while also maintaining her own boundaries. My parents were coaxed into joy by her, and as they left, they kept praising me, your daughter-in-law, endlessly. After sending them off, I looked at Swan. Aren't you angry? I asked. Angry about what? She smiled. There's no need to be angry with them. They are your parents. As long as they truly treat you well from now on, that's enough for me. Her tact and understanding filled me with warmth and admiration. Having taken care of things on my end, Swan also formally suggested taking me to meet her father. That is the chairman of Hong Yuan Group, Su Xian Bang. My heart instantly leapt up to my throat. Meeting my father-in-law, or rather meeting a father-in-law worth hundreds of billions. This pressure is not ordinary. The meeting place was arranged at a private estate belonging to the Su family. Su Xian Bang looked more imposing in person than in the photos. He didn't use money to humiliate me, nor did he ask those cliché questions. He simply handed me a document. It was materials for a business negotiation. 3 days later, you will represent Huangguan to discuss this case. He looked at me, his eyes sharp as an eagle. I don't care about the process. I only want the result. I opened the file and sucked in a cold breath. This is an extremely difficult cross-border merger and acquisition case. The opponent is notoriously stubborn in the industry. I know this is a test for me. 10. For the next 3 days, I hardly closed my eyes. I locked myself in the study, studying materials, analyzing data, and simulating various negotiation scenarios. Swan became my strongest backing. She didn't intervene directly, but she would act as an observer and nudge me a few words when I hit a bottleneck. Each sentence hit the mark. She would brew me a cup of coffee, prepare a late-night snack, and give me a comforting hug when I was most exhausted. With her there, I felt an unprecedented sense of steadiness in my heart. On the day of the negotiations, I walked into the conference room alone. Across from me sat the elite team from the other company, each one formidable and imposing. I took a deep breath, Swan's smile flashing in my mind. Couldn't let her down. The negotiation process was extraordinarily difficult, and the other party's terms were extremely harsh, leaving no room for compromise. I calmly responded according to the plan I prepared, arguing the case with reason and evidence. Just when I was about to lose my footing, I remembered the warning Swan had given me about an inconspicuous loophole in the other company's financial statements. I used this as the breakthrough and instantly reversed the situation. Finally, after 8 hours of stalemate, the other side agreed to our plan. I did it. As I dragged my tired body out of the meeting room, Su Xianbang was standing outside the door. There was hardly any expression on his face. "Come with me," he said. He led me to the estate's terrace. My daughter. He gazed at the distant sunset and began slowly. She has never known hardship since she was young. I gave her everything I could except freedom. She chose to hide her identity. Chose you. I was angry at the beginning. I thought it was another opportunist like Jiangyi. He turned his head and his gaze fell on my face. That gaze was no longer as sharp as before, but had more scrutiny and inquiry. But she told me that with you, she felt respected and at ease today in this negotiation. I saw your ability and character. You didn't use the Su family's background to pressure people. Instead, you earned your opponent's respect with your own professionalism and hard work. He paused and his tone finally softened. My daughter chose you, not because you are particularly capable or good at making money, but because when everyone is chasing fame and fortune and trying to take something from her, only you gave her a bowl of hot congee and a home where she can settle safely. Su Xianbang extended his hand to me. From now on, evening will be entrusted to you. I held his hand and nodded solemnly. I know I have passed this final test. What I have won is not just a project, and even my wife's family's approval of me as a son-in-law. 11. Life finally got back on track. Jiangyi's company faced increasing issues under thorough investigation by the tax department and was eventually declared ban corrupt. He himself has also accumulated enormous debts due to multiple violations. Xiaoqing's days are even tougher because she spread rumors. She was blacklisted by the industry, her reputation ruined, and no respectable company is willing to hire her. She can only do some indecent work to barely get by. One time, Su Wan and I went shopping at a mall. At the entrance of a luxury store, we saw Xiaoqing handing out flyers in front of the window. She was wearing cheap work clothes. Her hair was dull and her face was weary. She saw us too, seeing Swan holding on to my arm. Her smile was as bright as a flower. When I looked at Swan, my eyes were filled with indulgence. In her eyes, there was first shock, then jealousy, and finally only a thick, undeniable regret remaining. She turned away in a shabby panic, fleeing in a hurry like a stray dog. We did not step forward, nor did we mock. The best revenge for her is not to trample her underfoot, but to let her watch with her own eyes that the thing she discarded as worthless is now held in someone's hands and treated as a treasure. And she has forever lost all of this. As for Jiang Wei, I later heard that, in order to repay his debts, he had to become the driver for a rich woman who had once abandoned him and had since married someone else. Every day watching others pair up, I don't know what it feels like in his heart. Those who once hurt us all met the endings they deserved. My life with Swan is like an art house film playing in slow motion. Plain, warm, yet full of sweetness everywhere. We are no longer the two strangers who hurriedly tied the knot at the Civil Affairs Bureau. We are each other's family, each other's soulmate. 12. I used my savings from the past few years of work, along with the money Swan helped me earn through her financial management, to prepare for her a belated wedding. The wedding venue was chosen on a lawn where you could see the sea. That day, the sun was shining brightly. Swan wore a pristine white wedding dress, like an angel who had descended to the world. She walked step by step through the arch of flowers toward me. I stood in front of the podium, looking at her, my eyes a little hot with emotion. I took her hand and knelt on one knee. Swan. I looked up at her. My voice trembled slightly with excitement. Thank you for being so brave and walking toward me that day at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Everyone thinks I'm a joke except you, who chose to stand with me. Meeting you is the greatest fortune of my life. I love you. Swan's tears like pearls cut from a string rolled down. She smiled, crying, and said to me, Linchen, you are also my light amid the blessings of all our family and friends. We pressed a tight kiss. The sea breeze blows in, bringing a salty scent. I know this is the taste of happiness. The story begins with a ridiculous farce. The story ends with two hearts closely dependent on each other. Sincerity and kindness may be late, but they will never be absent. This is the most important lesson I learned from my wife, Swan.